So, looking back at my childhood, I remember my mother. She was a tall woman who appeared statuesque and was more of the silent type. And my father, well, he wore glasses and he was a thinner guy. And he had kind of a darker sense around him.
So the direct quote is, he thought he was 10 or 11 years old when his mother disappeared. This was one of the first instances of Winston not being able to remember because the party made it out of the social norm to think and remember, and they punished people who did through thought crime, and they you couldn't remember people who already vanished, and if you did commit such crimes, you would
So, I think the year is 1984, because, well, I think I'm 39, and I think that I was born in 1944 or 1945, but nowadays you can't be certain with any dates anymore, and it's hard to nail them down by at least a year or two.
So this was on page 7, and Winston can't remember the date. He doesn't really know what age he is. He doesn't really remember when he was born, and this is due to the party changing the records and manipulating them, so nobody really knows exactly anything anymore. They don't really remember because the party is so effective at controlling and manipulating others through changing history.
So, it's hard to remember a time where Oceania has been at peace. But I know an interval of peace at least existed. Because I do remember a time where an air raid happened on London, on Airstrip 1. And people acted surprised by it. It shocked them that such a thing would have happened. And I know this was somewhere during my childhood because I remember my father's hand clutching mine as we descended into a concrete bunker during it. So this quote is significant because it shows that Oceania isn't always at war, or at least hasn't always been at war, and that they are trying to deceive the public into thinking that they've always been at war because they tell the people that they've always been at war and that this is the best London has ever been. And if people didn't think we've always been at war, then they'd be like, well, it's clearly been better because we haven't been at war before. We've been peaceful. We also know that this takes place, during his childhood, which adds to its importance because his father is still around. So he's still a young child. He's under 10. And they go into a bunker. So this is probably right after World War II because bunkers were built all over London. History is rewritten by the party all the time. No records are known by anyone from the revolution or even before it because the party got rid of it. Every street sign, every painting, every building been redone to make it a new thing under the party. The only records that survive even from day-to-day history is small little objects with no words attached. So, I could prove the party wrong, and I have the knowledge to, but I'm the only one that knows that. That knowledge forever sealed away in my memory with all records that would prove such a thing having been removed from time and history by the party.
So this is the, like, Winston in book 2 talking about how everything has been, like, redone. So, like, books have been rewritten, the, like, history has been rewritten, and he thinks that, like, in his memory he has everything that he is able to, like, do to, like, prove the party wrong, but like he can't, because the past, like, he believes the past is falsified, he knows that, but the party is never wrong, it's always right, so there's no way for him to, like, prove that.
So there I saw it, and it was a photograph from a party function in New York City, and it had Rutherford, Aronson, and someone else, I can't quite remember who, but I'd seen it before, and I remember, I think it was 11 years ago, and I put it down the memory hole, and it was gone from existence, but there I saw it again, and I tried my hardest to move, but I couldn't budge to just hold it or even see it. And Brian grabbed it out from in front of me and put it down the memory hole and said, ashes, not even identifiable ashes, dust. And I said, it exists. And he said, it did not exist. But that's the concept of doublethink for you. I can't prove that he truly did not forget that it existed. I just have to accept that.
Page 247 in book 3, and Winston gets to see a clip, like a very, not even a second, of a newspaper that was like the newspaper, and then O'Brien shoots it down the memory hole, and the memory hole is a way to, like, get rid of things. It, like, just lets all it it disintegrates, like, all the memories, and he just shoots it down and it will never be there. And O'Brien's like, oh, it was never there, like, it's gone, like, what newspaper, like, you know? And so that's, like, a way to get rid of memories, through the memory hole. Book 3, and Winston is, all his, like, memory and everything has just been completely brainwashed now, and he is, because O'Brien, like, tortured him to the point where he got brainwashed, and now he is like everybody else, where he's just manipulated by the party, and at the end he even says that he loves Big Brother. So pretty much everything, they use everything he can't remember, like, he can, but
he chooses not to,
because
it's not socially acceptable anymore,
and he got tortured and
is now brainwashed into that belief.
Yeah, because he got tortured, and that broke him. But to summarize, there's many different ways that the party manipulates and controls your memory and history, such as, like, memory holes, which disintegrates, like, evidence and stuff, and it erases, like, certain things from people's memory and, like, history, and it just disintegrates them. And then there's things such as, like, newspeak and thought crime. If you commit thought crime, you get vanished, and people don't want to do that. So, like, if you say something or, like, think of something, that relates to anything that the party doesn't want you to do, then you get banished. The party rewrites history, and like they make sure that you know that they make sure that you think that London's always been at war and that there's like no peace ever. And they also, like, Goldstein's book is kind of a memory history relating thing, because they try to catch you trying to get information from it, and they'll, like, O'Brien got Winston. And also there's a lot of instances where like Winston tries to remember, and then it shows how like controlling the party did to Winston and like other people, how it manipulated him, how he can't really remember anything. He doesn't remember like a lot of the past. He tries to but can't. And like if you do try to remember things, it's thought crime. And
And with the Newspeak thing, like you said, the whole like point of Newspeak and memory is to make it harder to remember, because there won't be as many words that you can use to remember. Like if there's not a word to describe a certain emotion anymore, then does that emotion really like exist in memory anymore? If you can't truly describe it, is that a full part of the memory, or is it erased from the memory? And that also goes into how the party controls memory.
And then also with like the government or the party tries to make sure that like you know what wars are happening and stuff, to get that into like your memory, and to make sure that you don't remember a time where there's been no war. So they always try to make sure you know what's happening and all the events. That's why like when Big Brother comes on, it's always talking about some sort of like new war that's happening. And also like the alliances, like Winston remembers there was an alliance with like Eurasia.
So during February of 1984, the Ministry of Plenty issued a promise that there'd be no reduction in chocolate rations during the year 1984. But by April, there was. So the Ministry of Truth, which Winston is a part of, had to correct the statement and make sure the party was right.
The party uses the Ministry of Truth to rewrite history and to make sure for the people that it's always right, that the party is always right.
So, Book 2, Chapter 5 starts with Syme has vanished, and that's significant to history because it's the party erasing someone from history that they did not want there. Much like how in the Soviet Union, Stalin erased people from history such as Leon Trotsky, because Leon Trotsky was major competition for him and his leadership in the Soviet Union. So he erased him from history, exiled him from the Soviet Union, and then Leon Trotsky went to Mexico, and Stalin sent an assassin after him and finished him off with an ice pick. That's it.
And that relates to history.
So Winston clearly remembers that it's barely been even 4 years since Oceania had been at war with East Asia and in an alliance with Eurasia, but currently they were in a war with Eurasia and in an alliance with East Asia, and that the previous war had never happened, and it was erased from history by the party and the Ministry of Truth under the party.
So that was our video, and Avery was Winston in this video, and it was kind of like a diary.
Diary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do I explain it?
I don't know,
Yeah.
an interview of sorts, but like an
Yeah, it's kinda
interview
like an
doesn't make
interview.
sense because the book ends with Winston being brainwashed to the point where he wouldn't understand that and want to
Yeah, I
be.
don't know how to like put that in, but
It's like,
it's kind of like what would happen if he didn't get brainwashed.
yeah,
Like what he
sure.
would say.
It's kind of like North Korean defectors talking about stuff in interviews.
All right. Well,
Well,
peace.
I'm signing out.
Oh, for bloopers. So the party always So this is one of the first instances where the party. So this was one of Winston's first. This was